One of these days I might regret looking like this on camera, but today is not that day. Oh man. Hey y'all, welcome back to Mama Loves Manga. Lately I've been thinking about doing a better job of tracking what I read each month, so I figured I would put this channel to use and start doing monthly wrap-ups. So the first manga on this stack is one that I technically read in September, but I wanted to go ahead and show y'all, and that is An Incurable Case of Love by Maki and Joji. I'm not going to go too in depth about this because I already have a video on Viz's channel that y'all can watch, but I will give you a couple of quick details. First of all, this fits into the josei demographic, which means that it is geared toward women, but does not mean that other people cannot read it. The genre is romance, and it is so fun. I will be completely honest and say that I did not like Happy Marriage by the same mangaka. I did not like the main guy. I thought he was a complete tool and I could not get past it. I just couldn't. I know it's fantasy, but it's not my fantasy. I don't fantasize about D-bags. I definitely enjoyed this first volume and I cannot wait to read more. I appreciate how things are going so far and I hope that it stays on this track. I also love that these two are in the medical field. I personally have no interest in ever working in the medical field, ever in my life, ever. But my husband is a medical professional and he somewhat reminds me of him a little bit, which is maybe why I'm a little bit biased. Yeah. Moving on. Next, I read volume 1 of Hungry for You, Endo Yasuko Stalks the Night. This is by Flower Child. This was given to me by an Instagram manga friend. This is a 2-volume series and I have not read volume 2 yet. As for the demographic, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe shonen or seinen. And the genre is supernatural comedy. I thought this was fine. I thought it was cute and funny. I'm gonna save all of my thoughts for after I finish the second volume, and I will be doing a manga chat on my Instagram, and eventually those manga chats will be compiled into a video for this channel. Next up, I have the entire Eternal Sabbath series. I recently read this one and I do have a manga chat on my Instagram right now if you would like to see my thoughts. The demographic is seinen, and as for the genre, it actually fits into several. It is a science fiction supernatural thriller, and it is something that everyone needs to read. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's move on because I could sit here and gush about this manga, but I've already done a manga chat for it. So let's move on. Next up, I have volume 1 of Requiem of the Rose King by Aya Kano. This was one that so many people have raved about, and I finally decided to read it, and I do not regret it. I do have a first impressions video on my IGTV for this, and I actually might have already put this in my most recent first impressions compilation here on the channel. If I have, I'll link it so that it'll pop up somewhere. The demographic is shoujo, and it fits into these genres of dark fantasy romance. By the way, the reason why I'm specifically mentioning demographics and genres is to remind people that demographics are not genres and that every demographic can encompass a variety of genres. And at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal, but my biggest goal with my channel is to get people to read manga, period. And I think that when we use demographics in place of genres, it can cause a lot of confusion. And I think a lot of people do avoid reading certain things because they equate certain demographics with traits that they don't like. So for example, a lot of people equate shoujo with romance, period, and maybe they feel like they don't like romance because they haven't found the right romance story that, you know, resonates with them, and so they avoid shoujo manga because they think it's all romance, and that's not the case. A story can have romantic elements and not be a romance. I've had my little Twitter rants about this, and I've been told that I'm trying to start drama, and that's not the case. I'm not trying to start drama. I'm just trying to educate people, and I want to encourage people to read outside of their own box, their own bubble, and to not be afraid to read something that's labeled as shoujo because they think it's romance, which really, don't even be afraid to read romance, because yeah, not all romance is good, but neither are all battle manga. Like, come on, let's be real. You know, some of y'all like to think that everything that's similar to Naruto is good, and that's not true. That is not true. Anyway, moving on to my next read, which is Until the Full Moon by Sanami Mato. I did a manga chat for this series on IGTV. If you're not following me on Instagram, don't worry, because I am going to compile these into videos for here on YouTube, but just letting y'all know, in case you do want to mosey on over there and follow me on Instagram. So if I'm not mistaken, the demographic of this series is shoujo. At least that's what I believe the mangaka said in the actual books. And the genre would be BL, boys love. And this is a really cute series. I like it a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. Next up is 4th generation head Tatsuyuki Oyamato. I do have a manga chat on this one, and if I've already added this to my most recent compilation, I will have that. As far as demographics go, because this is labeled mature, I would probably consider this to be josei. And as far as genre, it is BL. And while BL can be read by anyone of any gender, it is typically written by women from a woman's perspective, although they are drawing male characters. I'm not as knowledgeable on that as others are. Like my friends G and Ray, they are very knowledgeable, and they have a whole podcast episode talking about BL manga, and it is great. And I will link it in the description box if you want to listen to it. I highly recommend that you do. Next, I have X Kai by Asami Tojo. I also have a manga chat on Instagram for this one. As for demographics, this is a shoujo manga, and when it comes to genre, it is a drama. This really doesn't focus on romance at all. This focuses more on the mystery and drama, and I actually enjoyed this a lot. But like I said, I'm not gonna go into it because I have a manga chat, and you can go watch it on Instagram, or you can wait and watch it here when I post it, if it's not already here. I don't think it's here yet. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, I have volume 1 of Ryuko by Eldo Yoshimizu. I do have a first impressions video on my IGTV. Oh my gosh, I'm telling y'all, I'd post a lot on IGTV, like a lot more than I actually realized. So much so that one of my friends in real life texted me and was like, oh my gosh, you have been so consistent on your manga Instagram. Good for you. And I was like, yes, pat myself on the back. So as far as demographics, on the website, it says that it is geared toward ages 15 plus. So I would put that in the seinen category if I had to. And as far as actual genre, it is a crime thriller. And you'll just have to watch my thoughts on this to see how I feel. It's only a 2-volume series, and I'm on the fence about whether or not I want to pick up the second one. That's all I will say. Next up, I have Superdimensional Left Gun by Shintaro Kago. I do have a manga chat for this one on IGTV. As for demographic, I would absolutely say that this is for grown-ups, period. I am pretty lenient with what I let my kids read and watch, but I would absolutely not give this to even my 13-year-old. Like, no. Absolutely not. This is way too disturbing for... It's no. As far as genres, this is horror erotica, and I'm sure there is a specific word for this genre, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. This is... it's a lot. I talked about it in a video though, so feel free to head over to Instagram and watch that. I'm sorry that I keep talking about my Instagram. I'm not trying to get y'all to go follow. It's just that I post a lot on there. Next up, I have Pez by Hiroyuki Asada. I do have a manga chat for this one as well. As far as demographics, I would say that this is probably shonen, maybe seinen. And as far as genre, it is fully science fiction. I loved it, but I highly recommend that you go and watch my video on Instagram. I'm sorry. Last but not least, I have the Po Clan Volume 1 by Moto Hagio. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is so good. As far as demographics go, of course this is a shoujo manga. It's Moto Hagio. And as far as the genre, it is fantasy. And it's so good. I highly recommend that you get this if you haven't already because it's great. Like I said, for most of these, I have either a manga chat or a first impression up on my Instagram right now. If you don't have an Instagram, don't worry because I will be compiling these that haven't already been compiled into videos and posting them here. So anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know if you have read any of these series. If you have, let's talk about them in the comments. If you haven't, maybe think about it. On that note, I'm gonna go sit down and read your manga. Bye.